Welcome, everybody, to the 6 p.m. council meeting of March 1st, 2022. Let the record reflect that all council members are present, including Council Member Ritchie, who is joining us electronically. Ken, you there?
I'm here. Thank you.
Okay. He's still awake. He's in Italy, and it's getting late for him, so we'll make it quick. Opening ceremony, I'll defer to Vice Chair Lopez for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please rise and repeat after me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please consider joining us for a moment of silence. Thank you. So the first item on our agenda is acknowledgements. The council has changed how it recognizes our yearly commemorations, like Women's History Month. March is Women's History Month. We worked with the Diversity Commission to make these acknowledgements a little more meaningful. And so we'll be looking forward to a brief presentation from the Diversity Commission on women making history in Ogden. And we'll be given that presentation on March 15th. But we want to acknowledge at the beginning of the month that March is Women's History Month. Next item on the agenda is common consent, consideration of appointment of Jason Vanderwerf to the Ogden Trails Committee.
Chair,
Please go ahead.
Oh, so sorry. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the common consent.
I will second that.
We have a motion by Councilmember Chaburka, second by Councilmember Heyer to adopt the item of common consent. This is a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
Chair,
Aye.
if I'm, that sound like Councilmember Ritchie.
Yeah.
I still think we could get some people up at the north end. I think if we posted a notice on some of those trailhead bulletin boards, we'd get people putting in their name. And
Okay.
apparently we're not doing that because we're not getting anybody.
Was he at our table last night?
Okay. Okay, next item is new business, council member qualifications and council meeting schedule amendments. Presentation by Janine Eller-Smith.
Good evening, council members. I appreciate this opportunity to present these proposed amendments to Title II. So, was alluded to, if anybody was listening in the fact-finding work session, per our current code, in order for a council member to serve in a municipal district position, they must be a registered voter within 12 years before the election, and then they also must be a resident of the district. Sorry, what did I say?
12 months.
12 months, sorry. And they also must be a resident of the district of at least 60 days prior to the election. And then the tricky language that is already included says, if a council member shall cease to possess any of these qualifications, then the member's office shall immediately become vacant. So essentially what that means is if for some reason, for example, in the redistricting process, a council member was redistricted or drawn out of the boundaries of their district that they're serving, they would have to vacate their seat. So right now, that doesn't affect any current council members, but we saw this as this became an issue and was thinking through it as something that we would want to proactively address just in case in the future something like this happened. So what we're proposing is some additional language that basically says if a change to the municipal district configuration causes that municipal district council member to reside out of his or her district, then he or she can stay in that office for that term. So of course, the next when the term is up, that council member would not qualify to serve as a member or as a representative of that district. So they could not run for that same district seat. So they would either have to run for a different district seat or for an at-large seat if they wanted to continue to serve on the council. Any questions about that?
Just if I might just make a distinction, this is if the boundary changes only, not if the council member moved.
Right. It's just only if there's a boundary change. Okay. If they moved, then the same thing would happen. They would have to vacate their seat.
Yeah.
Good question.
Also, as one of the things that we talked about, we just recently made changes to the rules and norms about the meeting schedule. In Title II, it specifically states that regular meetings are scheduled for the first, third, and fourth Tuesday of each month. And we're just recommending that would go to the first and third Tuesday only. This would not affect the redevelopment agency, which would continue to be scheduled for the second Tuesday of the month. We sort of did this on a trial basis starting last July 1 and did it for 6 months to see if there was any negative impacts or unforeseen circumstances that might happen if if it started backing up items for consideration by the council. We didn't see any of that. It does mean that for the possibility that you might have to have a few longer meetings here and there. It also might mean, especially during budget season, that we'll have to have some special meetings so that you can cover everything that needs to be covered for your education on the budget. But other than that, that is the proposal, is to just make that change. So is there any other questions? So the recommendation is that you adopt the ordinance that's before you that makes these changes. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Janine. There's no comments or questions from council members. We can entertain a motion.
Chair, I make a motion then that we adopt ordinance 2022-6.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Heyer, second by Councilmember Blair to adopt proposed ordinance 2022-6. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Councilmember Chaburka?
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer?
Aye.
Councilmember Ritchie?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Vice Chair Lopez?
Aye.
Chair Nadolski?
Aye, that passes. Thanks for your work on that, Janine. Next item on our agenda is public comments. This is your opportunity to address the council regarding concerns or ideas on any topic. I'm not seeing any motion in the crowd. We have a hand online. We'll go to Heath Sato. Heath, state your name for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Hi there, Heath Sato, Ogden resident. I have another issue I'll be getting back to probably during your next meeting after I finish some fact finding. But for today, I just wanted to mention again an issue I mentioned a few weeks ago. I was glad to hear there's some movement on the issue in the work session today. Our current drought status for Weber County is D2, severe drought. I'm sure you know this. This is one of the driest years in the last 128 years. It's back to back with another incredibly dry year. And anyone that's been up on the slopes knows that the snowpack from this winter is abysmal. There are more rocks poking up everywhere than I've ever seen. than I've ever seen on a ski slope, even very early in the season. Honestly, what I did hear sounded like we may just be poking around the edges of this issue. I'm worried the response will be insufficient, and I do hope there will be more talk and even more action on this issue before it gets to the point where we have to take drastic measures. I would like everyone around me to be able to shower once in a while. And on a related issue, I would ask that you consider listing sooner than later the required conditions that will need to be met to not have a fireworks ban. I set it that way for a reason. It's looking like this summer, as I said, will be even more dangerous for fires than last summer. And I would like to see considered a ban put in place now that can be lifted if we get lucky enough to have some real rain and get out of this severe drought situation. I think it's only fair to the people that sell fireworks and, frankly, the people that buy fireworks that they don't get saddled with a ban at the last minute. Given the fire conditions we're staring down the barrel of for this summer, I believe the default position should be a ban in place that can be lifted and not the other way around. Thanks.
Thank you, Heath. Next hand up online is Angel Castillo.
Thank you. Good evening. Angel Castillo, Ogden resident. I just wanted to lift up some of the conversation that I heard during the work session around the community block grant and perhaps encourage you to explore some cultural elements that should be taken into consideration. I appreciate that Councilman Member Heyer gave his story about a cornhole event being, a cornhole activity, being saddled with a $350 permit because it's a game, it's entertainment. And while I understand that it's important that we are insured, I'd like you to take a look at the cultural portion of that. Bouncy houses are a part of Hispanic celebration culture. If there is a Hispanic party, there's going to be a bouncy house if there are kids. And they're also a common Hispanic entrepreneur business, as building a business to rent bouncy houses has a really low startup cost. And so there's a lot of folks that get into that move that around. And while many members there are members of the council that didn't know what cornhole was, it's a cultural thing. If you don't regularly participate with Hispanic families, you're not going to know that bouncy houses are part of that culture. And Councilmember Chaburka brought up a very good point of why we have community green spaces, because not everybody has the luxury of having a big enough yard to put a bouncy house on it when their child has a birthday party. So I'd really like the council to dig deep and explore that and perhaps examine how they feel about bouncy houses and maybe why they feel that way about bouncy houses and in whether or not you've had experiences in that culture. We have a large percentage of our population which is Hispanic, and that is part of the culture, and we need to make sure that we are making accommodations for all citizens. So please continue to have that conversation and figure out what we're going to do about insurance for these things. As Councilmember Chaburka pointed out, no one's going to stop someone from playing a pickup game of basketball or baseball or soccer in a public city space. And a bouncy house is part of that celebration, things that we do with family. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel. Seeing no other hands raised, next time on our agenda is comments from the mayor.
I have a brother that spent 2 years in the Ukraine, and I would just like to extend our hearts and minds to what's going on over there right now. I think that is tragic and really, really difficult. And it's a hard position for everybody right now. I saw a meme that came out and said 2 years of COVID, and now potentially we're looking at something entirely different. But I just want to put it out there that we have our hearts and minds with what's happening in Ukraine right now. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Comments from the council? Okay. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn into a closed executive session for one of the reasons listed on the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Heyer, second by Councilmember Blair to convene in a closed executive session. This is a voice vote or a roll call vote.
Councilmember Chaburka,
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer,
Aye.
Councilmember Ritchie, Councilmember Ritchie,
Oh,
Did he lose that?
Councilmember White,
yep.
Aye.
Councilmember Blair,
Aye.
Vice Chair Lopez,
Aye.
Chair Nadolski.
Aye. That passed. We lost Councilmember Ritchie after item number 4, or after public comment, I think. Sorry about that. Okay, we will adjourn into a closed executive session, and just so the public knows, we will adjourn from this meeting while in the closed executive session. So this is it for the night. Thank you.